So there's a safety procedure on there, so
Yes.
you can't inadvert.
Yes.
I hear a sound somewhere.
So that's your staff. Now that's law enforcement.
Yes.
Welcome to Shooting Straight with Brad and David. I'm David Kulish, your Navajo County Sheriff.
And I'm Brad Carline, your Navajo County Attorney.
This month we're coming to you at a new location. We're here at Sequoia School here in Linden, and I'm joined with Lieutenant Alden Whipple from the Navajo County Sheriff's Office and Beth Kulish, the principal here at Sequoia. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about a new school safety technology that the Sheriff's Office is using that is now implemented in the schools. Lieutenant Whipple, you've been a big part of that program for the past couple of years. Tell us a little bit about that and how this is working.
So the project that we're bringing into the schools kind of started out small scale. We only had limited funding, and it was a project that started about 2 years ago. And with that small amount of funding, we kind of went small scale to the different law enforcement agencies and to a few school districts within Navajo County. And essentially what the technology is it's outfitting the schools with a panic system that they can have on their computers inside of their classrooms or on a mobile device such as a phone or tablet that they can carry with them anywhere on campus. In the event that they see an emergency, a threat, a risk, or anything like that, they can activate the panic button and immediately notify the rest of the campus that there is a threat or a serious incident occurring. They can lock down the school, they can perform evacuate, notify everybody to evacuate in the event of something like that, shelter in place, those kind of things. And at the same time that alert is going to the school staff, that alert is also going to all of the local law enforcement officers in Navajo County. So it's going to go to me, it's going to go to you, Sheriff, it's going to go to Show Low Police Department, Pine Top Lakeside Police Department, Snowflake, Holbrook, Winslow, the FBI. There's a local FBI field office here that's also going to be able to receive those alerts. And so depending on whatever type of threat is going on, we're going to be able to get the information that there is a threat at that school, and we can immediately start responding. We may not know the details of that or anything at that particular point in time, but we can start responding. The second part of the project is the school administrators are going to have a direct line of communication to the PSAPs or the dispatch centers. So the dispatchers can immediately start getting live, up-to-date information directly from the site. And some of the other cool features that are implemented in the technology are floor plans, for example. I don't know every single school classroom here. I don't know the numbering system or anything like that. But if I happen to be driving down State Route 260 here in Linden and I get a notification that there's a threat here at Sequoia School and it's in classroom 3B, I can pull up my notification system, open up the file that shows the floor plan of this school, and it can say 3B is right here. So now I know that I don't need to respond to the front office. I need to respond to the west side of the building or whatever. It could be an officer from any other agency that gets the notification, and if that officer is the closest officer to the school, those maps can immediately provide the information to know where to go in the school if they're not familiar with the school.
Lieutenant, why is this better than just calling 911 besides having the maps on your phone?
So 911 is the traditional method, the easiest thing that most people are going to refer to if they need to contact emergency services. The great thing about this is the ability to notify everybody rapidly.
But doesn't dispatch do that on a 911 call?
Not necessarily. So when dispatch receives a 911 call, there's certain questions and information that they have to gather before they can start putting that call out. There's at least 2 or 3 questions, which takes a little bit of time. And so if we have a method to notify everybody about the emergency and begin emergency services responding as soon as possible, the next part of this technology allows Beth, for example, is the principal. If somebody pushed the panic button here, she would have a direct line of communication to the dispatch center without the need to call 911.
So is it just saving time?
It's ultimately saving time. And
why is that important?
So in situations like active shooters or armed assailants that come into campuses, the studies out there say that usually every 8 seconds there's another casualty. It's about every 8 seconds that another shot is being fired if somebody's armed with a gun. And so if we can cut off seconds and minutes to our response time, then we're essentially saving lives.
Part of your answer to begin with made it sound like this is kind of costly. You had went small first and then bigger. Sheriff, can you tell us about the funding? Is it the county funding it or somebody else?
Yeah, so this started in 2021 during the legislative session. We know that there's a priority for public or school safety through public safety officials all throughout the state and our state legislature as well. It was supposed to start as a pilot program, and it did. It started with 3 counties, a small, medium, and large, and we were kind of selected as a medium-sized county that was to do this, and I volunteered our county to work that, which volunteered Alden.
Well, thank you for doing that to get us priority.
And so we started that with 2 or 3 schools, and Alden started learning about the technology and how we were doing that. Then the second year in 2022, during the legislative session, there was a big shooting or a very sad ordeal that happened in Uvalde, Texas, and that's when the legislature was in session, and they doubled, tripled the money that the program, and they offered it from the 3-4 starter counties to all 15 counties. And that's when we were able to expand from our initial schools to all schools within this county.
So the legislature saw the need to save seconds and minutes then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of tools that law enforcement and everyone in schools could use, but as Alden talked about, one of them is communication. When you have a critical incident, oftentimes people are frantic about what has actually happened, where is it actually happening, and dispatch is sitting there saying, please, I need this, I need that, because they need, as they're trying to redirect resources that way, they're trying to gather that. But as Lieutenant Whipple pointed out, now we're having this broad broadcast that goes to all law enforcement, whether you're on duty or off duty, or whether you're doing some other task as serving civil papers. You're now getting a notification saying, oh, this is now priority, and your dispatch is not wasting time trying to find everybody throughout the county to relocate them. One broadcast that came from Beth now has hit all of us right now. And then we just don't get on the radio because we're going to tie up that dispatcher's time, and we're just going to start heading there. And then, like Lieutenant Whipple pointed out, okay, you need to go to the west end of this school, not the east end of the school. Those types of savings are what we're looking for.
Using technology has its pros and its cons. You need Wi-Fi or you need cellular service. Is that any kind of challenge to a rural county like what we have?
Absolutely. In fact, during the implementation of this project across the county, that's been the biggest hurdle to try and overcome. As we've done trainings and tests and things like that, we come across that problem. Sometimes we don't have enough cellular sites, or there's not enough bandwidth in the cellular sites, or proper backhaul. Or when you go into a school building, most schools are brick and they have metal roofs, which are not good for cellular devices.
Dead zones?
Dead zones, complete dead zones. And so some of the things that we've been trying to do to overcome that is work with the school's IT programs, ask them to kind of go around the campuses, test if they have areas that have low bandwidth, try and find ways that we can maybe put more antennas in certain areas and things like that. Internal routers, yeah.
Is there also a web-based backup they could use?
Absolutely, there is. And so the teachers that have it on their phone can have it running in the background on their PC computer while they're in class. And so if an event happens dealing with a student in the classroom, or a threat just happens to come by the school that they can see, we've had some calls come through our dispatch center because while teachers are in class and they've got windows to the classroom, they can see somebody that's unidentified, clearly not supposed to be on campus. They need to put the school in lockdown. They can do that now from their computer. And if they go mobile outside of their classroom, then they would hopefully be able to access some sort of Wi-Fi with their cellular device to be able to access it.
So can that communication work the other way from law enforcement to the school? Say there was a suspect on the run on the lam, but it's out here in Linden and close to the school. Could law enforcement contact the school and tell them to put on lockdown because you're not sure where that suspect is?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, at the infancy of implementing this program, we had a situation up at the Holbrook School District. We had implemented a few licenses across our agency and Holbrook Police Department, and when the call came in that there was a potential threat, the call ended up being a hoax, thank goodness, but we were told that there was a threat at the school, and so dispatchers immediately began asking officers to respond, notifying outside agencies about the threat and to respond. And as they got caught up with getting resources to go to the response, there was kind of a forgotten step of, did anybody call the school to verify this? Have we made contact with the administrators or leadership there? And so a lot of school administrators that day saw a bunch of cops running onto their campus, unknown to them that there was ever a threat called in. And so when we began working with this technology, we found that there is a way for us, if dispatch receives a call like that, they can access this technology, go in and create an incident at the dispatch center, and then bring in those administrators at the school campuses and notify them that a call came in, and then that will immediately initiate that direct line of communication to the schools. And so they'll essentially have a two-way radio that goes back to dispatch the same way that law enforcement has a radio. And why that's beneficial, if you've ever been in a dispatch center when a critical incident happens, a motor vehicle wreck or a fight in progress at a large event or anything like that, typically multiple people will call in. And our dispatch centers, while I wish we could have innumerable resources, we typically only have 2 to 3 dispatchers at a time. And Sholo's kind of in the same situation. And so if you get 5 or 6 people calling 911 at the same time, but our dispatch centers are only capable of answering 2 to 3 calls at a time, they get really inundated with phone calls. And so if there's a threat happening at the school, what's going to happen is a lot of people, as news spreads very fast here, or in today's world, you get a lot of people calling dispatch and calling 911 and things like that. And so now the school administrators don't have to worry about calling 911 and hoping they're getting the right dispatch center. They have a direct line of communication with this technology to go straight to the dispatchers.
Once again, saving time.
Absolutely.
In the 2 years that you have rolled out this in different parts of the county, have you found other uses and benefits of this program?
Absolutely. And so on the law enforcement side, the technology can be used operationally. We have the capability of sending live video or video files, picture files, and those kind of things, and mobile messaging. As we have people assigned to certain tasks during operations, we can share information that's fully encrypted across to each other to give live updated information and to make it safer for everybody that's working that operation.
If you got a runaway, can it help you with the runaway juvenile?
Oh, absolutely. We just had a situation several months ago where I was notified about 2 endangered juveniles that had ran away, and the idea was how can we broadcast their photographs to as many local officers as possible to put out an attempt to locate on them. And the suggestion was made, let's put their images into Mutual Link, which is the name of the platform, the technology, because every officer has access to it. And so we can notify all of them that here's what the juveniles look like. If they happen to be walking through your town or your jurisdiction and you recognize them, please stop and hold. And within a few hours of us putting those photographs out, officers from a separate agency were able to locate those juveniles and notify us that they had them detained for us.
So Beth, as a school administrator, what are some of the benefits, or what are some of the things that you're most excited about having this connect between your school and law enforcement?
Yes, we are very grateful for this opportunity to connect this Raptor system into our emergency response plan. So we can, in any type of a crisis situation, we have that one-stop shop where we can get emergency officials to our campus.
Yeah. So what are some of the scenarios or some of the incidents that you would implement this, or you would need to make a notification to law enforcement?
If there was an active shooter on campus, a suspicious person, a drive-by shooting, if there was a chemical spill in the area, anything that would put us into a shelter in place, a fire evacuation, a missing student, we would be able to get in touch with the law enforcement to help us if they were on foot outside of our area to help with that.
So on the app, there's 5 different buttons on the home page. So have you developed, in your school administration as a whole, developed which ones are used at which occurrences and know how to use them?
Yes, we would use the lockdown situation for the active shooter or a drive-by shooting or a shelter in place, or any type of event like that. The team assist button we would use for internal type of
So what's the team assist and how would you use that?
We would be able to use that. One of them is medical assistance. So if there was an injury on, let's say, the playground and we needed some extra help with that, we could press that and any available staff member could come to that location and help us with that.
In the past, how would you have communicated the need to get additional help to the playground if some child was injured?
We would have to do an all-call over the PA system.
Okay. So this is a lot quicker that way too and more efficient in your eyes?
Yes, yes, because everybody has a phone on them, so, and sometimes you can't hear the PA system in certain areas on the campus.
Yeah.
And what are some of the other buttons? You've talked about 2 of them, I think, and there's some more. What are some of the others on there?
There's the shelter in place button, so we would use that if there was a chemical spill in the area, or if there was even a weather situation and we didn't want anybody to leave the classroom. For that, and then I'm going to cheat to look back on my little link on here. Okay, and then we also have an evacuation button. So we would use that if there was a fire or if there was something that required everybody to evacuate the building for that. And then we also have a medical button. So we would press that if there was an injury on campus and we needed an ambulance to come, we could press that button and have them come here.
And the guys that talked about you started implementing it this summer. Have you tried it out?
We have not. In fact, we have our first drill scheduled for next week, so we're really excited to try it out with our whole team.
And so you have a scenario. Does everybody know what's coming, or is it going to be a surprise?
We're going to discuss it tomorrow at our staff meeting.
So that at least your teachers will know about it.
Yes.
So what happens if you push the button?
It will send an alert to everybody that is connected to our system, including all of my staff members.
And Sheriff, if we push it, what happens? Does your dispatch know that we're going to have fun, or?
Yeah, our dispatch center in Holbrook, and then the South County Dispatch, Regional Dispatch Center is going to get noticed, and Lieutenant Whipple's phone's going to go off, and some other staff that are here should go off. So
can we push it?
Let's try it. Right?
200 officers.
You want to push it, Beth? Let's see what happens.
All right. All right.
We spent a lot of money on this. We might as well push the button.
I'm going to go with the evacuation button today.
Okay.
For that. So. Okay, and then slide to initiate.
So there's a safety procedure on there, so
Yes.
you can't inadvert.
Yes.
I hear a sound somewhere.
So that's your staff. Now that's law enforcement.
Yes.
But I think we gave fair warning to our dispatchers in north and south, right?
So we're not going to have a whole bunch of law enforcement showing up real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
So all your teachers' phones would go off. Do your support staff have the same app on it?
Yes.
And can you start communicating with your staff to let them know what's going on? Or if another teacher pushed it, can they communicate directly with you?
Yes, there's a group messaging option on this app as well, so you can click it and put in some more information that the other team members would need to know.
So is that going to be like a text, or can you do an oral too?
This one, let's see, you can send it general. So we just type the message in here and then go. So I'm just going to put test because we did this over the summer and we put help and it scared one of our teachers. So we're just going to do test for right now. So hit send. And I believe it goes to through text to the staff member.
And you said you did this summer, and as we were talking before we recorded, you said it even hit one of your teachers who was on vacation, out of state, who didn't have the app on.
Correct.
So even if you don't have it on, you're still going to get that notification.
Yes.
And Sheriff, is that the true for your law enforcement? If they're off duty but they have their phone, they'll still get the notice?
Yeah, so we have it downloaded on all of our devices. Every deputy carries a phone, and then on their laptop. And so Mogion did one last week, and we had a notification that went through. And I think this is, you asked the question to Beth, you're going to let your staff know. I think training in both scenarios is important. Having some where you do it, then having others where they don't. Sometimes just notifying one of our law enforcement to know it's a test and the rest of us not. So that's all good, valuable training to see how quickly we get it and just always ensuring it's working.
What do you see as the biggest benefits, Beth?
Just having that direct communication and say, like you guys were discussing earlier, setting the time frame to get help here to help with our crisis situation.
Does it put your mind more at ease to know you have this new tool instead of having to just call 911?
Yes.
And you think it'll put your parents' minds at ease too?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a big responsibility, not only just to educate, but when you talk about all the factors that can happen outside the campus and that can happen on the campus. And it's important for us to know quickly, and it's important for us to notify you if we have an incident in your neighborhood that we don't want to spill over onto your campus. So we're really excited about this. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today, but we appreciate both of you being here and Beth for allowing us to be on campus here to have this short demonstration, and for your partnership with law enforcement and bringing all our schools into this same program.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity and the partnership.
Yeah.